Good evening, students. Today is Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. It's a rainy September day, and it is pretty cold for September 9th. Pretty cold for September 9th. Tonight, we're going to practice two vowel sounds. We're going to practice the vowel sound E when you put two letters together. A and E together will make the long E sound. And we're also going to practice the long I sound and look at the vowels we put together to make the long I sound. Also in our lesson, we're going to look at an advertisement for food and some specials and sales for food items and talk about how we read the advertisements. So let's get started with our lesson. We have a lot to do. I'll go ahead and pull it up. Make it a little bigger so we can all see. Okay. English lesson for September 9th, 2020, Level 2 class. Tonight we will practice reading and writing words with the long E sound. E-A. When E and A come together, those two vowels together make the E sound. We will read advertisements and identify costs for food. This word is advertisements. This word is identify. We will read a story with words that have I and end with E. They have the letter I and they end with the letter E. That will make the long I sound. And then we'll practice, when do we put a D on the end of a word or an ED on the end of the word? D or ED. So we'll practice that. Okay, here's our September calendar. Let's get this so we can see a little bit better. 100%. Okay, this is our September calendar. And today's date is Wednesday, September 9th. Wednesday, September 9th. We have class tonight. We have class next Monday night. And then next Wednesday, we will have the last day of our class at Girton's for the summer. We know that today is Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. Tomorrow is Thursday. That's right, September 10th, 2020. Yesterday was Tuesday. That's right, September 8th, 2020. Today is the 9th. Tomorrow is the 10th. Today is the 9th and yesterday was the 8th. And we remember in English when we say our date, first we say the day, then the month, then the date, and then the year. So let's take a look at the lesson for tonight. Here we go. I'm going to try to make this a little bit so we can see more. Okay. EA makes the long E sound. This is a picture of to eat, E-A-T, eat. We know these words, we need to start recognizing when we see EA in a word that it will be a long E sound. Meat, meal, beans, frijoles, tea, it's a cup of tea, teacher, profesor, and this word is, that's right, please, please. All these words have the letter E and A to make the long E sound. So we're going to read about the class party. The class party. These are people that are having a party. We can't do that now because of COVID-19, but before COVID-19, people would have a party like this and get together. Okay, the class party is the name of our story. The class party. The words that we're going to be using in the story, each, E-A-C-H, each. In español es cada, cada. Cheap, C-H-E-A-P, cheap, barata. Eaten, I have eaten my apple. Eaten, comida, eaten. Cheese, C-H-E-E-S-E, cheese. People, P-E-O-P-L-E. In this case, it's still a long E sound, people. Best, best has a short E sound, best. And then something, something, alguna cosa, something. So let's read about the class party. Carla's class is having a dinner party. There will be a big meal. Each person brings something to eat. Carla brings beans. David brings a green salad. Jason and Gail bring baked potatoes. The Masons bring apples and cheese. Other people bring something to eat. Mrs. Smith, the teacher, brings the meat. The meat wasn't cheap. Each person helped to pay for the meat. There are 18 people at the party. They are having fun and eating a big meal. Please pass the meat, says Ray. I have not eaten any meat for 3 days. Kay says, that is right. Meat is not cheap. For many meals, we have eggs, beans, or cheese. They are pretty cheap. The teacher says, please pass the beans. Carlos, beans are the best beans I have ever eaten. Jason says, this is the best salad that I have ever eaten. The people at the party eat their dinner. Then Ray passes apples and cheese. The teacher brings coffee and tea to the table. She asks each person, will you have coffee or tea? I'll have tea, please, says Gail, and Jason will have coffee. This is the best party that we have ever had, says Carla. Let's have another one. Let's have another one. So there was a good party and everyone had a good time at the party. Now we're going to read some questions and look at the evidence in the story so that we can answer the questions. We will look at the evidence in the story. The first question, who is having a party? Who? ¿Quién? Who is having a party? Well, let's look. What is the answer? That's right. Carla's class is having a dinner party. So the answer is Carla's class. The evidence is the first sentence. Carla's class is having a dinner party. The next question, what does Carla bring? Well, let's go back and look for the evidence. What do we read in the story that tells us what did Carla bring? That's right. Carla brings beans. So that's the answer. What does Carla bring? The answer is Carla brings beans. What do Jason and Gail bring? So now, two people. What do Jason and Gail bring? So go back into the story and look at your evidence. Jason and Gail. Jason and Gail bring baked potatoes. That's right. Who brings the meat? Who brings the meat? And who pays for the meat? Go back and see if you can find the evidence for those questions on your own. Who brings the meat? Who pays for the meat? Now in class, we did a fill in the blank tonight. Eat, meal, tea, please, and cheap. Number 1, fill in the blank. The people are eating a big what? That's right, meal. Each person brings something to what? Eat, E-A-T, correct. Blank, pass the meat. What goes in that blank? That's right, please, P-E-L-A-S-E, please pass the meat. Will you have coffee or tea? T-E-A, coffee or tea. And the last one, the meat wasn't what? What is the correct answer? That's right, cheap, C-H-E-A-P. The meat wasn't cheap, barata. Then we looked at this advertisement and we answered questions from our advertisement. This is in a newspaper or on the computer for the grocery store Green Hills Market. We can read what each item is and how much it costs. This is ham, H-A-M. It costs $2.69. This is butter. It costs $1.99. And we answered questions about this advertisement. Number 1, hamburger is in the ad. An ad is another word for advertisement, isn't it? What other meat is there? So our question tells us first, hamburger is in the ad. Hamburger is in the ad. Right there, hamburger, $2.79. What other meat is there? Can you see any other meat that is there besides hamburger? That's right, ham. Ham for $2.69. Number 2, what 3 things to drink are in this ad? Ad is an advertisement. What 3 things? And that's right. Tea is one thing. Coffee is something to drink. And milk. Then we answered the other questions about how much things cost from the advertisement, the ad. In this exercise, we say the words and we decide which one has the long E sound. Number 1, it or eat. Which one has the long E sound? It or eat? That's right, it's eat. Number 2, tea or 10? Tea or 10? That's right, tea. Number 3, dark or deer? Dark or deer? Which one has the long E? It would be deer. It's a little harder to hear, but in the word deer, it's a long E. Dark has the R sound. Number 4, red or read? Red or read? That's right, read has the long E sound. Number 5, meet or men? Meet or men? That's right. Meat has the long E sound. Number 6, plate or please. Plate or please. Please has the long E sound. Number 7, bill or meal. Bill or meal. Meal has the long E sound. And number 8, bean or best. Bean or best. Bean has the long E sound. We practiced also tonight what happens when you add an R or an ER. Farm is where someone works. Farmer is someone who works on a farm. You can write. If you write, you're a writer. Anne is a writer. If you teach, you're a teacher. You add ER. If you paint, you're a painter. We add ER. If you bake, you're a baker. But because bake ends in the letter E, we only add the R for baker. If you read, you're a reader. So we added the ER tonight. If a word already has an E at the end, you only need to add the R to make bake into baker. We practice our sounds from our vowel chart. We matched words with our vowel chart, and tonight we've been working on green tea, the long E sound. And the next story that we're reading has the long I sound, like white tie. So we'll do a little of the reading. We know these words already, but it's nice to see them by themselves. Mike, this is Mike. The I in the word Mike becomes a long I when it ends in E. If I add an E at the end of the word, it becomes Mike. L-I-K-E, like. M-I-L-E, mile. S-M-I-L-E, smile. W-I-F-E, wife. N-I-S-E, nice. All of these words have the letter I and end in the letter E. They have the letter I and they end in the letter E. So the letter E makes the I long. We practiced a little bit with that tonight, how we go from short to long sounds. Read the beginning of the story that we read, and we're going to listen for the long I sound, like white tie. It's a story about running. The words are white, while, tired, like casada, tired, retired, every, race, been, I have been there, been, husband is mando, breakfast, and sometimes, algunas veces, sometimes. Fran White is retired. Fran has been retired for 3 years. Retired for 3 years. Retirada, retired, retirada. Her husband, Mike, has been retired for 5 years. These days, the Whites have a lot of time. The Whites have time to do things they like. Things that they like. Fran likes to run. Every day, she gets up at 5 and runs. She is getting ready for a big race. It is a mile race for retired women. Fran must run 5 miles every day. Then she will not get tired in the mile race. Fran has been running every day for 3 years. Her doctor said that it was okay. At first, Fran did not run very far or very fast. Every week, she ran a little more. Sometimes Fran runs in the park. Sometimes she runs in the street. Today, Fran is running in the park. It is a nice day. People in the park smile at Fran. Fran smiles back at them. So you can keep reading the story to the end and go ahead and practice your evidence, looking for your evidence by reading the question and finding the answer by going back and looking in the story. Again, our questions are usually who, what, when, where, why, how. Those are the kinds of questions that we asked in class and that you can ask yourself. And so this story about running has many words that have the long I sound. White, while, tired, retired. Many words that have the long I sound. So we practiced tonight the long E sound and we practiced the long I sound. And we used our vowel chart. So when you practice, look at the word and see if you can decide where it goes on our vowel chart. So good class tonight, and I hope you practice reading your story with your friends or your family. You can practice the stories and the exercise. And I will see you next Monday night. See you next Monday night. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.